I drove 3 hours to my son's wedding. The same boy I raised all by myself after his dad left us. But when I walked through those church doors, David looked at me like I was a stranger. "Mom, you can't be here," he whispered, his face red with shame. "This is for important people only." My heart broke into a million pieces, but I walked away quietly. What he didn't know was that everything he was celebrating was about to disappear. Before we go further, first let me thank you for watching Granny's Voice. Please subscribe, tell me in the comments what you think about entitled children, and tell me where you're watching from in the comments. We might give you a shout out in our next video. Today's special shout out goes to Carolyn Blayblock from North Carolina. Thank you for being part of our family. Now, let me tell you everything. The wedding flowers I had paid for were about to become someone else's problem. My purse slipped from my hands as I stood frozen at the back of the church. Everyone turned to stare at the woman in the simple blue dress. Me. "Mom, what are you doing here?" David's voice cut through the organ music like a knife. His bride Sarah looked horrified in the wedding gown I had saved for months to buy. "You weren't supposed to come." I clutched the wedding card I had written with shaking hands. Pink roses filled every corner of the sanctuary, their sweet smell mixing with expensive perfume from guests I didn't recognize. The golden cross above the altar seemed to shine down on my shame. "Sweetheart, it's your wedding day," I said softly. "I wanted to see you get married." James, Sarah's father, stepped forward in his $1,000 suit. "Mrs. Peterson, I think there's been some confusion here." "What confusion?" I looked around at all the fancy people staring at me. Ladies in silk dresses whispered behind their hands. Men in expensive suits pretended not to look while clearly judging everything about me. "This is a private family celebration," Sarah said, her voice shaking with embarrassment. "Close family only." Those words hit me like a truck. 30 years of bedtime stories and scraped knees. 30 years of working double shifts so David could have nice clothes. 30 years of choosing his happiness over my own dreams. "I paid for this wedding, David." The words came out quiet but clear. "Every flower, every seat, that dress Sarah is wearing." James's mouth got tight. "Money doesn't make you classy, ma'am." Sarah nodded quickly. "James is right, Mom. This isn't about money. It's about fitting in. You don't understand the kind of people here." I understood perfectly. The cleaning lady who scrubbed their offices wasn't welcome at their parties. Around us, everyone stopped talking. A photographer put down his camera. The church pianist kept playing, not knowing about the drama happening right in front of the altar. "I see," I said. I placed my wedding card on a nearby pew between someone's fancy purse and white roses. "I wouldn't want to embarrass you." "Mom, please don't make this harder," David begged. I looked at his face, trying to remember the little boy who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. His brown eyes, once so full of love, now looked cold as stones. The smile I had worked overtime to pay for braces was now turned away from me. "You're right," I said quietly. "I don't belong here." Walking to the exit felt like walking through MUD. High heels clicked on marble floors. People started whispering again behind me. Someone laughed, high and fake. My old work shoes squeaked against the church floor. Outside, cold air hit my face like freedom. The parking lot was full of shiny cars I could never afford. My old Honda sat alone in the corner, exactly where it belonged in their world. I reached for my phone with steady hands. 25 years of cleaning offices had taught me to stay calm. 25 years of loving an ungrateful son had taught me what loyalty really meant. The phone screen lit up with missed calls from my bank about a payment question. I scrolled past them to find a different number. One I hadn't called in weeks but suddenly needed. My finger stopped over the contact name. Citibank customer service. Inside that church, my son was celebrating his new life without me. Outside, I was about to start mine without him. The phone rang twice before someone answered. Heavy church doors closed behind me like a book ending. Wedding music got quieter as I walked across the parking lot. Each step felt more sure than the last. The wedding cards stayed on their pew, forgotten like everything else I had given them. March wind smelled like rain was coming. Dark clouds gathered above the church steeple, making shadows across cars that cost more than most people make in a year. My shoes crunched on gravel as I reached my Honda, keys already in my hand. Inside the car, silence wrapped around me like a warm blanket. The clock on my dashboard said 2:30 p.m. enough time before the bank closed on Saturday. Enough time to make several important phone calls. I looked through my contacts until I found what I needed. Citibank customer service showed up on my screen. My finger waited for exactly 5 seconds before pressing call. This was going to change everything. Citibank, this is Jennifer speaking. How can I help you today? Jennifer, this is Margaret Peterson, account number 4421789. I need to stop payments on several checks I wrote. Of course, Mrs. Peterson. Let me look at your account. Can you tell me your birthday and your mother's first name? Standard questions. I gave her the information while watching more wedding guests walk into the church. Women in fancy dresses and men fixing their expensive ties. None of them knowing what was about to happen. Thank you. I see several large payments from this week. Which ones do you want to stop? All wedding payments. Church rental, catering, flowers, photography, music. Each item rolled off my tongue like a shopping list. This needs to happen right now. Ma'am, these are very large amounts. Are you sure about stopping all payments? Completely sure. Things have changed. I heard typing on her computer. I'll need special codes for payments over $5,000. I said the codes from memory. 25 years of managing my small cleaning business had taught me to remember every important number, every contract, every payment code. Stop payments are now active. Confirmation numbers are being created. Do you need anything else? That covers the bank part. Thank you, Jennifer. My next call went to Riverside Catering, the fancy company Sarah had insisted on despite their crazy high prices. Riverside Catering, this is Marcus speaking. Marcus, this is Margaret Peterson. I'm calling about the Peterson-Williams wedding happening right now. Oh yes, Mrs. Peterson. Everything looks beautiful. The guests love the appetizers. I'm afraid there's been a money problem. Payment has been stopped. You'll want to protect your food and equipment. Silence. Then. I'm sorry, what exactly are you saying? The bank stopped payment on your contract. Starting right now. I suggest you get your things quickly. But we're in the middle of serving food. The main course hasn't even come out yet. That's unfortunate timing, I said, keeping my voice calm and professional. You might want to talk to the wedding party about other payment options. Marcus hung up without saying goodbye. Smart man. The flower lady answered on the first ring. Bella's Blooms, Susan speaking. Susan, this is Margaret Peterson about the Peterson-Williams wedding flowers. Mrs. Peterson, the arrangements look gorgeous. The bride was so happy with the pink roses. There's been a payment problem. Bank payment has been cancelled. You'll need to come get your flowers if you want to save any money. Take them back. But they're built into the whole church design. Business is business, Susan. I suggest you move fast. 4 more calls followed. Photography, music, even the chair rental company. Each conversation was the same. Professional politeness, then growing worry, then quick hang-ups as vendors rushed to protect themselves. My phone showed 3:15 p.m. when the last call ended. Through my windshield, I watched a white catering truck pull up to the church's side door. Marcus, probably coming to save what he could. Inside that church, David was probably still greeting guests, not knowing that his perfect wedding was about to become a very expensive lesson. Sarah was likely talking to her father's rich friends, feeling superior to simple cleaning ladies. Neither of them understood what they had really cost themselves today. I started my car and drove slowly past the church entrance. Through tall stained glass windows, I could see the reception starting. People holding glasses up for toasts. Fancy figures moving across polished floors. All of it about to change. My phone buzzed with an incoming call. David's number showed up on the screen. I let it ring. The dashboard clock read 3:20 p.m. when the first truck arrived. Bella's Blooms was painted in pretty letters across a white truck. Susan was driving with 2 helpers beside her. They parked near the church side door and took out empty boxes with businesslike speed. Through the church windows, I could see the party in full swing. Crystal glasses caught light from chandeliers as guests walked around David's pink roses. James was talking big to a group of men in expensive suits, probably bragging about his latest business deal. Neither bride nor groom noticed the flower team entering through the side doors. Sarah stood near the main entrance, glowing in $4,000 of silk and pearls, accepting congratulations from a steady stream of relatives. Her laugh carried across the church, bright and carefree. The sound would change soon enough. Susan appeared in the church doorway with 2 large plastic boxes. She walked straight toward the altar flower arrangement. Her assistants went to the smaller displays. Guests began turning around, confusion replacing celebration as the team started taking apart the centerpiece. "Excuse me." Sarah approached Susan with the fake smile of someone used to bossing people around. "We're in the middle of our reception. Whatever you need can wait until later." Susan stood up straight, holding a bunch of pink roses. "Ma'am, I'm Susan from Bella's Blooms. Payment for these flowers was cancelled 50 minutes ago. I need to take back our property." Sarah's smile flickered but stayed. "That's impossible. Everything was paid for weeks ago. The account holder, Margaret Peterson, called us directly. All payments have been stopped." Susan kept removing flowers like it was just another job. "I have written permission to collect our arrangements." Color drained from Sarah's face. Around them, guests had stopped talking completely. James crossed the church in quick steps, his face changing from confusion to anger. "What exactly is happening here?" His voice carried the authority of someone used to getting his way. "Payment problems, sir. We're taking back unpaid merchandise." Susan's helper began wrapping the altar arrangement in plastic. "This is completely unacceptable." James's face turned red. "Get your manager on the phone immediately." "I am the manager, and our contract clearly says that cancelled payments end our service." Susan nodded to her assistants, who began collecting table flowers while guests watched in shocked silence. The Riverside catering truck pulled up outside as Susan's team continued their systematic removal. Marcus got out with 3 staff members, their faces serious with purpose. They entered through the main church doors this time, making no attempt to hide. Sarah watched the roses disappear into boxes, her perfect composure cracking like a broken plate. "There has to be some mistake. My mother-in-law wouldn't." "She couldn't." "Ma'am, we need to stop food service immediately." Marcus approached with a clipboard in his hand. "Payment was stopped at 3:15. We have to protect our equipment and leftover food." James stepped between Marcus and Sarah, his voice getting louder. "This is my daughter's wedding reception. You can't just stop service in the middle of an event." "Sir, we can and we must. When payment gets cancelled, we have to protect our assets immediately." Marcus signaled his team, who began covering food stations with white sheets. Guests moved nervously, champagne glasses untouched in their hands. Conversations had become worried whispers. Someone's phone rang, sharp and annoying in the tense air. The string quartet stopped playing when their sound coordinator arrived. Microphones went silent. Speakers powered down. Even the lights changed as the sound man disconnected his equipment. Sarah stood frozen in the center of her collapsing reception. Wedding dress perfect amid the chaos of disappearing services. "This can't be happening. Not today. Not like this." "Sarah, what kind of arrangement did your family make?" James's voice carried new suspicion, his anger turning from vendors toward his new daughter-in-law. "I don't know. Everything was supposed to be handled." Her voice cracked with the first hint of real panic. The church coordinator appeared, phone pressed to her ear, speaking in urgent whispers. She approached Sarah with obvious reluctance. "Mrs. Peterson Williams, I just spoke with our finance office. All payments for today's event came from one account belonging to Margaret Peterson. That account holder has cancelled everything. Sarah's composure shattered completely. The little girl who had dismissed her mother-in-law from her own celebration was finally understanding how much her mother-in-law's generosity had meant. She pulled out her phone with shaking fingers, scrolling to a familiar contact. Outside in the parking lot, my phone began to ring again. My phone buzzed against the car seat, David's name lighting up the screen. Through my windshield, I could see his outline in the church doorway, phone pressed to his ear with desperate urgency. I didn't answer. Not yet. 28 years of loving that boy had led to this moment. 28 years of believing that sacrifice would build character instead of destroying it. He was 4 when his father left us. Richard walked out on Christmas morning, saying he couldn't handle being poor anymore. Left me with a little boy who asked for daddy every day for months. I could have found another man quickly, someone to help raise him. Instead, I chose to be everything David needed myself. "Mommy, will you read me another story?" He'd asked at age 6, curled against me in his superhero pajamas. I'd already read 4 books and had an early morning shift at the office building. But his brown eyes held such trust. "Of course, sweetie. Mommy always has time for you." That became my promise. Margaret Peterson always had time for David. And money. And whatever he needed to be happy. Private tutoring ate up half my monthly earnings when he turned 9. The best education money can buy, I told myself, writing checks that meant fewer groceries and older clothes for me. David hugged me when I told him about Westfield Academy. "Thank you, Mommy. I'll study really hard and make you proud." He did study hard. Straight A's through elementary school. School plays where I sat in the front row, my cleaning lady hands clapping louder than any other parent. David would find me afterward, beaming with joy. "Did you see me remember all my lines, Mommy? I was thinking about you the whole time." High school changed things. Westfield Academy meant wealthy classmates with trust funds and vacation homes. David started noticing differences. His 16th birthday party cost more than some people's cars. A used Mustang in the driveway. Catered food. Professional decorations. "Everyone else has new cars, Mom. This used one is kind of embarrassing." That was 2018, the first time money became expected rather than appreciated. I should have seen the warning signs. College expenses nearly broke my small cleaning business. State University, David's choice school, required sacrifice that went beyond tuition. Fraternity dues, spring break trips to Florida, summer programs in Europe. Each semester brought new financial demands. "Mom, I need $2,000 for the business club trip. It's essential for networking." Phone calls became money requests. Visits home decreased to holidays only. When David did call, conversations lasted exactly long enough to explain why he needed money and how quickly he needed it transferred. Graduate school brought Sarah into his life. Rich family, social connections, everything I couldn't provide despite decades of hard work. David started making comments about my appearance at family gatherings. "Could you maybe wear something nicer when you visit? Sarah's friends will be there." The boy who once thanked me for bedtime stories was now embarrassed by the woman who had provided everything he'd ever wanted. Success in cleaning offices meant nothing to his new social circle. Building the business that funded his lifestyle made me unsuitable for his lifestyle. Last Thanksgiving, he'd introduced me to Sarah's parents as David's mother, who runs a small cleaning service. Small cleaning service. 28 years of building Peterson Cleaning from nothing, employing 12 people, earning enough to support his expensive lifestyle, reduced to small cleaning service. "Mom, we need to talk about wedding funding. Sarah's family has certain expectations for the ceremony. Not thank you for offering to pay. Not we'd be grateful for your help. Just expectations, as if my life's work existed solely to meet his social requirements." The wedding planning meetings felt like business deals. Sarah brought spreadsheets. James offered opinions about cost efficiency. Neither acknowledged that every line item represented months of my labor. Flowers imported from California. Food that cost more per plate than my workers earned per day. A dress worth more than most people's rent. This isn't about money, Mom. It's about quality. Sarah's family knows quality. Quality that my money bought, but my presence diminished. The very success that made their dream wedding possible made me too common to attend it. My phone buzzed again. David's fourth attempt in 10 minutes. Through the church windows, I could see him pacing. His tuxedo wrinkled from stress like a flag of surrender. 28 years of sacrifice had created this moment. Not a grateful son celebrating his mother's generosity, but a desperate man finally understanding what he'd lost. The irony was perfect. The love that had spoiled him would now teach him its true value. I reached for the phone. Time to answer. My engine hummed quietly as I pulled out of the church parking lot, David's frantic silhouette shrinking in my rearview mirror. His phone glowed like a lighthouse in the gathering dusk, calling me for the 8th time in 15 minutes. Each ring felt deliberate, controlled. My timing, not his. The drive home took 30 minutes through the city's Saturday evening traffic. 30 minutes of watching my phone light up with David's name. Each call more desperate than the last. By the time I reached my driveway, he'd left 5 voicemails. I listened to them while sitting in my garage, engine off, garage door closing behind me like a curtain falling on the day's first ACT. Voicemail 1. Mom, something's wrong with the payments. There's been a mistake. Call me back right now. Voicemail 2. This isn't funny anymore. The vendors are taking everything away. People are staring. Just call me back. Voicemail 3. Please, Mom. I don't understand what's happening. Sarah's family is asking questions I can't answer. Voicemail 4. I'm scared. Please pick up. Please. The phone rang again as I finished the 4th message. David's name appeared on the screen, next to a photo from his college graduation. The last time he'd hugged me without needing money first. I answered on the 6th ring. Hello, David. Mom, finally. What have you done? How could you destroy my wedding? His voice carried pure panic now. None of the controlled dismissal from this afternoon. But panic meant awareness. Awareness was the first step toward understanding. I didn't destroy anything, I said, keeping my voice level. I simply stopped paying for things. You can't just stop. This is my wedding day. There are 80 people here asking why the flowers are gone and why food service stopped. Where are you calling from? The hotel across the street. We had to leave. The church coordinator said we needed to pay the bills before we could stay. So they'd been asked to leave. That explained the echo in his voice, the absence of wedding music in the background. David, I need you to listen carefully. When was the last time you thanked me for anything? What? Mom, this isn't the time for lectures. I need you to call these vendors and fix this mess. Answer the question. When was the last time you expressed real gratitude for my financial support? Silence stretched between us. In the background, I could hear Sarah's voice, sharp with frustration. I don't remember specific times, but I've always been grateful. You know that. Actually, I don't know that. What I know is that 4 hours ago, you told me I didn't belong at your wedding. A wedding I paid for entirely. I didn't mean it like that. I was stressed. Wedding day nerves. Her voice shifted, taking on the whining tone he'd perfected in college when asking for spring break money. Mom, please. I'll make this up to you. We can talk about everything later, but right now, I need you to okay the payments so we can save what's left of the reception. What's left? The cake is still here. Some guests are still here. The photographer is waiting to see if we can work something out. And what exactly do you plan to use for payment? Another pause. Longer this time. I thought you would handle it. You always handle IT. I always have. That's true. Do you know how much I've spent on you over the past 28 years? Mom, please don't make me guess numbers right now. I'm in crisis mode. Take a guess. Rough estimate. I don't know. Maybe 30,000. I almost laughed. $30,000 wouldn't have covered his sophomore year at State University. David, I've spent over $200,000 on your education, housing, transportation, and lifestyle since your father left us. That doesn't include what I spent today. The line went quiet, except for the sound of his breathing. 200. That can't be right. It's conservative. I have records for every dollar spent. Why are you telling me this now? Because you've never asked. In 28 years, you've never once asked about the cost of your lifestyle or shown concern about the burden it placed on me. Burden? I'm your son. Yes, you are. And I loved you enough to sacrifice everything for your happiness. The question is, what have you sacrificed for mine? Sarah's voice grew louder in the background. He covered the phone for a moment, their muffled argument barely audible. Mom, Sarah's family is really upset. They're asking questions about our finances. They want to know how we're going to pay for this. That's between you and your wife. But I don't have that kind of money. You know I don't. Then perhaps it's time you learn to earn it. The silence that followed lasted nearly 40 seconds. What do you want from me? I want you to understand what you threw away this afternoon when you dismissed the woman who made your entire lifestyle possible. I understand now. I was wrong. Can we fix this? We'll see. I'm reviewing our entire financial relationship. There will be documentation. We'll discuss this properly when I'm ready. I ended the call and turned off my phone. Through my kitchen window, I could see the lights of the city beginning to twinkle in the distance. David was somewhere out there, facing his first night of financial independence. The education was just beginning. Warm light from my desk lamp cast familiar shadows across 28 years of careful record-keeping. Filing cabinets lined one wall of my home office like soldiers, guarding secrets David had never bothered to ask about. Tonight, those secrets would finally serve their purpose. Tea steamed beside my computer as I opened the first drawer, labeled David Education 2016 to 2020. Behind me, the house settled into evening quiet, but my mind buzzed with a systematic energy that had built Peterson Cleaning from nothing into a 12-employee operation. This wasn't revenge. This was an audit. First folder. Westfield Academy. 8 years of private school tuition. Each payment documented with bank transfers and report cards. $6,000 per year in 2016, climbing to $9,000 by graduation. The math was sobering. $64,000 for elementary and high school education alone. I created a new spreadsheet, fingers moving automatically across the keyboard. Column headers. Date, description, amount, category, running total. 28 years of motherhood reduced to data points and formulas. State University folder came next, thicker than the others, bulging with dormitory contracts, meal plan agreements, study abroad program fees. Tuition alone. $18,000 per year for 4 years. Room and board. Another $12,000 annually. Spring break in Cancun senior year. $2,800. Summer in London during his history phase. $6,200. Essential for my education, Mom, he'd said about London. This is how people in my program network. Page by page, receipt by receipt, the numbers climbed. State University total. $136,000. 4 years of college cost more than most people earned in 3 years of work. Transportation folder revealed its own patterns. First car at 17. Reliable Toyota for $12,000. Everyone else drives sports cars, he'd complained within 3 months. Second car at 21. Mustang for $18,000. Third car at 26. BMW because Sarah's friends drive luxury cars. Each car came with insurance premiums, maintenance costs, and registration fees that David never saw. Hidden expenses that good mothers absorbed without comment. My phone buzzed. David's name appeared on the screen again. I let it ring, adding another entry to my spreadsheet. Phone, iPhone 13 Pro, $800. Living expenses folder contained the darkest surprises. Post-graduation apartment downtown. $1,900 monthly rent for 2 years. Credit card payments when his spending exceeded the generous allowance I provided, averaging $800 monthly for 18 months. Designer clothing purchases, gym memberships, vacation trips with friends whose parents funded similar lifestyles. The totals grew like compound interest. Education, $200,000. Transportation, $45,000. Housing support, $60,000. Personal expenses, $90,000. Wedding, $78,000. My calculator showed $473,000. Nearly $500,000 spent gradually over 28 years, each expense seeming reasonable in isolation. Private school was an investment in his future. College opened doors. A reliable car ensured safety. Nice clothes built confidence. The wedding celebrated love. But the pattern told a different story. David had never contributed a single dollar to his own support. Never held a job longer than 4 months. Never expressed concern about costs or gratitude for sacrifices. I opened the photo albums I'd maintained through his childhood. David at 9. Gap-toothed and glowing after his first spelling bee. Thank you for coming, Mommy. Did you see how everyone cheered? David at 13, triumphant after winning the science fair. I thought about you when I was nervous, and it helped me remember the facts. When had he stopped seeing me as a person worth thanking? When had I become merely a source of funding for his ambitions? My phone rang again. David's 15th call since our conversation ended. This time he'd left a voicemail. Mom, please answer. I've been thinking about what you said. I know I haven't been grateful enough. I know I've taken you for granted. Sarah's family is threatening to leave if we can't explain the financial situation. I need to know what you want from me. What I wanted was 28 years of appreciation that would never come. What I needed was assurance that David understood the value of what he'd casually dismissed. I printed the spreadsheet summary and organized the supporting documents into manila folders. Education, transportation, housing, personal expenses, wedding costs. Each folder thick with evidence of love translated into dollars. Sacrifice measured in bank transfers. Tomorrow would bring conversations David wasn't prepared for. Questions about responsibility, accountability, and the true cost of entitlement. Tonight was for preparation. The documentation spread across my desk like evidence in a courtroom case. Nearly $500,000 of support provided without question, appreciation, or acknowledgement. David had lived like royalty while treating his benefactor like hired help. That arrangement was about to change. My phone buzzed once more with David's name. I reached for it then stopped. Not yet. Let him understand what helplessness felt like. Let him taste the panic of financial dependence without guarantees. The education would continue in the morning. Monday morning brought crisp April air and the kind of clarity that comes from thorough preparation. My briefcase sat by the front door, loaded with 28 years of documented evidence. Williams & Associates had agreed to an emergency consultation at 9 a.m. professional courtesy between businesswomen who understood that some situations couldn't wait for Monday. The law office felt appropriately serious. Oak panels, legal books lining the walls, certificates documenting decades of successful practice. Jennifer Williams herself met me in the conference room. Her gray hair and sharp suit projected the competence I needed. Mrs. Peterson, I've reviewed your preliminary documentation. This level of record-keeping is exceptional. She spread my folders across the polished table, scanning financial summaries with practiced efficiency. Each page represented months of David's lifestyle funded by my sacrifice. The total amount involved, nearly $500,000 over 28 years. That's substantial even by our standards. I want this handled professionally, I said, settling into the leather chair across from her. No emotion, just business. David needs to understand the financial reality of what he's taken for granted. Jennifer nodded, making notes on a yellow legal pad. The documentation supports either gift reclassification or promissory note establishment. Given the pattern of escalating demands without reciprocal responsibility, we have multiple recovery options. She outlined the strategy with surgical precision. Formal demand letter requesting full repayment within 30 days. Detailed accounting of all expenditures with supporting evidence. Clear timeline for response and negotiation. Professional consequences for non-compliance. This approach transforms a family dispute into a business transaction. Much cleaner for everyone involved. By 11 a.m., the documents were prepared. Official letterhead, formal language, serious implications. The demand was simple. $473,000 repayment within 30 days or legal proceedings would commence. We'll arrange courier delivery this afternoon. Signature required. Creating official record of receipt. I drove home with copies of everything. Satisfaction mixing with sadness for the necessity of such measures. David had created this situation through years of entitlement. I was simply providing the consequences he'd never faced. At exactly 2:45 p.m. my phone rang. The courier service confirming delivery to the downtown hotel, room 834. Signed receipt by David Michael Peterson. The formal process had begun. I imagined David's confusion when the hotel desk called about a legal delivery. His assumption it was vendor-related paperwork. Sarah taking charge as the responsible wife, breaking the official seal with typical arrogance. Then reading. Comprehension dawning slowly. The phone started ringing at 3:12 p.m. David's name flashing repeatedly on my screen. I let each call go to voicemail, each message more desperate than the last. Message 1. Mom, what is this legal document? This can't be serious. Message 2. 400,000. That's impossible. You never said these were loans. Message 3. Please call back. Here is. Sarah's family is asking questions I can't answer. Message 4, his voice breaking. I don't understand how everything went so wrong so fast. At the downtown hotel, David and Sarah were discovering what accountability looked like when backed by legal authority. 28 years of gifts had been reclassified as recoverable debt. Their financial dependency was now documented, quantified, and subject to collection procedures. The wedding disaster had been the opening act. This was the main performance. Jennifer had explained the process clearly. Civil debt recovery follows standard procedures. They'll need legal representation to respond properly. That costs money they don't have for a debt they can't pay. David's frantic calls continued through the afternoon. 18 missed calls, 10 voicemails, each one revealing deeper understanding of his helplessness. The man who dismissed me from his wedding was beginning to comprehend what he'd actually dismissed. The irony was perfect. David had spent 28 years taking my financial support for granted. Now he faced 30 days to repay it all with professional consequences for failure. My phone buzzed again. David's 19th call. This time I decided to answer. Mom, please. We need to talk about this reasonably. David's voice cracked through the phone speaker. Exhaustion replacing the panic from yesterday. This legal document, it can't be real. I settled into my kitchen chair, coffee steaming beside me. Through the window, the city's Monday afternoon looked peaceful. People walking dogs, children playing in parks. Normal people living normal lives. The document is completely real, David, as are the 30 days you have to respond. But 400,000. That's impossible. You never said any of it was a loan. I never said it was a gift either. You simply assumed. In the background I could hear Sarah's voice, sharp with frustration, papers rustling, the sound of someone pacing. David, I need to understand something, I said, keeping my voice level. Who exactly do you plan to contact for help with this situation? Silence stretched between us. Then, family, friends, people who care about me. I see. Well, you have 29 days remaining. I suggest you start making those calls. I ended the conversation and turned my phone to silent. Let David discover what I already knew. That nearly $500,000 in debt would reveal exactly who was willing to help and who would politely decline. The phone lit up repeatedly throughout the afternoon, David's name appearing and disappearing on the screen like a distress signal. I let each call go unanswered, each voicemail unheard. By evening the calls had stopped. Tuesday morning brought a different kind of silence. No frantic messages from David, no desperate voicemails, just quiet. I drove to my office where my cleaning crew was preparing for the morning shift at the downtown business complex. Physical work had always helped me think clearly. The smell of cleaning supplies, the sound of vacuum cleaners, the satisfaction of making something clean and organized. My supervisor Maria approached around 10 a.m. "Boss, you seem different today. Everything okay?" "Family situation," I said, watching my team prepare their equipment. "Sometimes you have to make hard decisions for people's own good." "Kids," she nodded knowingly. My phone buzzed. Text message from David. "Mom, I've been trying to reach family and friends. Everyone is shocked by the amount. Please call me." I deleted the message without responding. Another text arrived an hour later. "Uncle Jim says he can't get involved. He thinks I should learn responsibility." What does that even mean? Then another. "Cousin Lisa won't take my calls anymore. My college friends are asking questions about why I never worked. People are treating me like I did something wrong." The messages continued through the afternoon, each one revealing David's growing isolation. His fraternity brothers were uncomfortable with the conversation. His college roommates were surprised by the financial details. His few remaining friends were unable to help with such amounts. Sarah was having her own problems. Her mother had apparently called 5 times demanding explanations. Her father wanted a family meeting about reputation management. Her sister was asking pointed questions about financial disclosure before marriage. By Wednesday the pattern was clear. David's support network was collapsing under the weight of nearly $500,000 in debt. People who had enjoyed his generous entertaining and expensive lifestyle were suddenly unavailable when he needed financial assistance. Thursday brought a different message. "Mom, Sarah's family is pressuring her to consider annulment. They think our marriage was based on financial deception. Please call me so we can work this out." I almost smiled. Sarah's family was apparently faster at recognizing reality than their daughter had been. Friday's message was shorter. "Nobody will help. Everyone has excuses. Sarah is barely speaking to me. Her parents want her to see a lawyer about protecting her assets. I don't understand how everything changed so fast." 24 days remaining. David was learning what financial independence actually meant when you'd never developed the skills to achieve it. The education was proceeding exactly as planned. Monday morning's silence felt different. No text messages from David. No desperate voicemails. Just an unusual quiet that made me check my phone twice to ensure it was working properly. The attack began Tuesday. My assistant Rosa knocked on my office door around 9 a.m., holding a printed email with obvious concern written across her face. "Mrs. Peterson, I received this inquiry from City Business Weekly. They're asking about family troubles affecting your business operations." I read the email twice. Professional language masking pointed questions about my stability and treatment of family members. Someone had been making calls. Any idea how they heard about this? "There's also this." Rosa handed me her tablet showing a Facebook post with over 300 shares. David's wedding photo, handsome and radiant, followed by emotional text describing a heartless mother who had destroyed his special day and was now demanding impossible financial payments as punishment. The post painted me as an unstable woman taking revenge on her son for perceived slights. Hundreds of comments expressed shock and sympathy. Several tagged local business owners I'd worked with for decades. My phone rang. Tom Martinez from Martinez Janitorial, a 15-year business partner. "Margaret, I'm seeing some concerning things online. People are saying you're having issues with your son's wedding expenses." "Tom, there's documentation that tells a very different story." I hope so, because some folks are asking questions about your contracts with the office buildings. You know how business works around here. 4 more calls followed within an hour, all expressing concern, all asking careful questions about my mental state and business decisions. David and Sarah had been busy. I found Sarah's strategy easily enough. Her family name opened doors in the city's social circles. Williams' family connections reached country clubs, charity boards, and professional organizations where reputation mattered. They were using those connections to spread David's narrative of victimhood. The local Facebook groups buzzed with second-hand versions of the story. Cleaning company owner demands $400,000 from son after ruining his wedding. City businesswoman sued own child for wedding expenses. Each retelling grew more dramatic, more damaging. By noon, I'd received 9 business-related calls expressing concern. The City Chamber of Commerce president wondered about my state of mind regarding upcoming community projects. 5 separate building owners mentioned hearing things that might affect our working relationships. David and Sarah had chosen their battlefield carefully. In a city like ours, reputation was currency. Destroy someone standing in the business community, and you destroyed their livelihood. They'd miscalculated one crucial factor. I drove home and pulled out the documentation Jennifer Williams had helped me organize. 28 years of financial records, categorized and summarized. Every check, every payment, every expense David had never asked about or appreciated. Then I made my own calls. Jennifer, I need to schedule a press conference for tomorrow morning. We're going public with a complete financial documentation. Are you certain? Once this information is public, there's no taking it back. David and Sarah have made it public already. Now it's time for the truth. The next 8 hours were methodical preparation. I contacted City Business Weekly directly, offering complete financial transparency. I called the 4 reporters David's campaign had reached, promising documented evidence that would tell the real story. Most importantly, I contacted 28 years' worth of business partners, community leaders, and professional associates. People who'd watched me build Peterson Cleaning from nothing. People who'd seen my dedication to both business and family over decades. Rosa, I'm calling everyone on our client list. There's going to be a story tomorrow that sets the record straight about David's situation. By evening I had confirmation. City Business Weekly would run a feature story. Local news stations agreed to cover the press conference. The documentation was copied and ready for distribution. David's attack had lasted 4 days. My response would last one morning. The truth, properly documented and professionally presented, would speak louder than social media manipulation and emotional appeals. 23 days remaining on the legal deadline. By tomorrow afternoon, David would understand that destroying reputations was a game best played by people with actual substance to defend. Wednesday morning arrived with the precision of a business schedule at exactly 9 a.m. I published 28 years of financial documentation across every platform David and Sarah had contaminated with their lies. The presentation was methodical, professional, undeniable. Bank statements showing $473,000 in payments over 28 years. Categorized spreadsheets breaking down education costs, transportation expenses, housing support, and lifestyle funding. Photographs of David at every stage of his pampered life. Each image matched to corresponding financial support. Complete transparency. 28 years of parental support documented, read the headline I'd chosen. Below it, a comprehensive timeline showing David's progression from grateful child to entitled adult, with every dollar spent documented and verified. The response was immediate. Within an hour, my phone started ringing with different voices. Not concerned this time. Supportive. Margaret, I had no idea about the scope of support you provided, said Lisa Bradley from Bradley Office Services. My kids are in college, and I'm spending maybe $8,000 a year total. You spent that much every semester. Tom Martinez called back. I owe you an apology. After seeing those bank records, I understand exactly what you're dealing with. That level of entitlement would break any parent. The social media momentum shifted like an avalanche in reverse. Comments that had supported David's victim narrative suddenly looked naive against the backdrop of financial reality. Screenshots of bank statements showing $18,000 annual college tuition payments. Receipts for 3 different luxury cars. 28 years of housing, clothing, and lifestyle expenses that most families would consider impossible to afford. Jennifer Williams called at 11 a.m. Margaret. The response has been extraordinary. City Business Weekly wants to run a feature story about financial responsibility and entitlement. You've managed to turn a reputation attack into a community education moment. By noon, David's original Facebook post looked pathetic against the mountain of evidence I'd provided. People were sharing my documentation with comments like, "This is what real parental sacrifice looks like," and "No wonder she's seeking repayment. This level of support is a full-time job." The city cleaning community rallied completely. Business owners who'd questioned my stability were now sharing stories about my work ethic and integrity. The Chamber of Commerce president issued a public statement supporting my position. Even the mayor's office released a comment about the importance of financial responsibility in family relationships. Rosa texted me from the office. "Boss, the crew is talking about your situation. Everyone's behind you. Nobody can believe what David put you through." Local news stations picked up the story as a human interest piece about parental sacrifice and accountability. The documented evidence made their job easy. They simply had to present the facts and let viewers draw their own conclusions. David's attack had backfired spectacularly. His portrayal of victimhood couldn't survive contact with 28 years of documented financial reality. The community that had briefly questioned my stability was now questioning his. Sarah's family connections worked against them now. Their social circle was seeing exactly what kind of people they'd welcomed into their network. Williams' family credibility was being used to spread lies about a respected businesswoman who had simply documented the truth. By evening, the narrative had completely reversed. David and Sarah weren't victims of a cruel mother. They were entitled individuals who had attacked a generous parent when she finally set boundaries. The documentation told a story that emotional manipulation couldn't counter. Every bank statement was a chapter in 28 years of sacrifice. Every receipt was evidence of love that had been taken for granted. My phone buzzed with a text from David. "Mom, please take down those financial records. People are saying terrible things about us." I deleted the message without responding. 22 days remaining. The education was nearly complete. Sarah's phone rang at 7:15 a.m. Thursday morning, jolting both of them from restless sleep. The hotel room felt smaller with each passing hour, filled with the weight of social media catastrophe and mounting financial pressure. "Sarah, this is your mother." The voice carried through the phone speaker with unmistakable authority. "We need to talk immediately." David watched Sarah's face drain color as she listened to demands he couldn't quite hear. Her responses were clipped, defensive. "Yes, I understand the implications. No, I didn't know about the extent of documentation. The situation is more complicated than we anticipated." The conversation lasted 15 minutes. When Sarah hung up, she stared at the phone for a long moment before speaking. "My family wants me home today." "Home?" "Sarah, this is temporary. My mother will calm down once." "David, stop." Her voice carried a finality he'd never heard before. "My mother received calls yesterday from 6 different business partners asking about our family troubles. The country club is buzzing with gossip about the Williams family's association with financial fraud." Financial fraud. That's ridiculous. This is a family dispute that got out of hand. Sarah began pulling clothes from drawers, shoving them into her suitcase with sharp, angry movements. "Your mother published bank records showing nearly $500,000 in support you never acknowledged. To my family's social circle, that looks like deception at best, manipulation at worst." David felt panic rising in his chest like ice water. "You're leaving. We just got married 8 days ago. 8 days that have destroyed my professional reputation and my family's standing in the community." Sarah's packing grew more aggressive. I have a trust fund, David. Business prospects. A future that depends on maintaining certain relationships. What about our relationship? What about our marriage vows? Sarah stopped packing and looked at him directly for the first time since the phone call. What marriage? You brought me into a financial disaster without warning. Your mother is demanding almost $500,000 in repayment, and you have no way to pay it. My family lawyer says I need to protect myself from potential liability. Liability? I'm your husband. You're a financial burden with no assets and massive debt. The words hit David like physical blows. My family cannot afford to be associated with this level of scandal. David's phone, silent for days, suddenly buzzed with a text from Sarah's father. David's son, Sarah needs to come home. Family obligations, you understand. The politeness made it worse somehow. Even Sarah's father, who had welcomed David into their family at the wedding, was cutting ties with surgical precision. Sarah, please. We can work through this together. My mother is angry, but she loves me. This will blow over. David, look around. Sarah gestured at her laptop, still open to devastating social media comments. This isn't blowing over. Your mother published financial records going back 28 years. People are calling you a trust fund baby who never worked a day in his life. They're right. The accusation stung because it was accurate. David had never held a job longer than 4 months. Had never contributed financially to his own support. Had never questioned where his comfortable lifestyle originated. I was being a son. Sons are supposed to be supported by their mothers. Not to the tune of nearly $500,000 over 28 years without any gratitude or reciprocation. Sarah zipped her suitcase closed. My family runs in circles where people contribute to society. They build businesses, support charities, create value. What have you ever created besides expenses? David felt something breaking inside his chest. Not just his marriage, but his understanding of himself and his place in the world. Where will I go? I don't have money for the hotel. My credit cards are maxed. Everyone has stopped talking to me. Sarah paused at the door, her hand on the handle. Call your mother. Apologize. Accept responsibility. Maybe she'll help you figure out how to become an actual adult. Sarah, please don't leave me alone. David, I've been alone in this marriage since it started. You never contributed anything except expectations and expenses. Her voice softened slightly. Maybe losing everything will teach you something your mother's money never could. The door closed behind her with devastating finality. David stared at the hotel room that suddenly felt vast and empty. His wedding tuxedo still hung in the closet, a reminder of 8 days that had destroyed his entire life. No wife, no family support, no friends, no money. For the first time in 28 years, David Michael Peterson was completely alone. He picked up his phone and scrolled to a number he hadn't called since that first desperate Saturday. His mother's contact information appeared on the screen like a lifeline he wasn't sure he deserved to grasp. 21 days remaining to find almost $500,000 he didn't have. To rebuild relationships he'd destroyed. To become someone he'd never been before. The phone rang twice before a familiar voice answered. Hello, David. His voice carried none of the warmth he'd grown up with, but no cruelty either. Just calm acknowledgement that her son was finally calling after losing everything. Mom. The word came out broken, barely above a whisper. I don't know where to start. Start with the truth. Do you understand what happened this week? He stared at the hotel room around him, at Sarah's absence, at his laptop screen still showing hundreds of comments condemning his behavior. The weight of 28 years of thoughtless entitlement crashed down like a collapsed building. I lost everything. My wife left me this morning. Her family cut me off completely. I don't have money for tonight's hotel bill. His voice cracked. Everyone hates me. Do you understand why? The question hung in the air like a challenge. For 28 years, he had blamed others for his problems, made excuses, found someone else responsible for every consequence. Not this time. Because I treated you like a bank account instead of a person. Because I never appreciated what you sacrificed for me. Because I was selfish and entitled and cruel. Silence stretched between them. He could hear her breathing, considering his words. Go on. I saw the financial records you published. $400,000 over 28 years. I never asked where the money came from. Never thanked you properly. Never thought about what you were giving up to provide for me. Tears came freely now. The first genuine tears he'd cried since this began. I dismissed you from my own wedding. A wedding you paid for entirely. What else? I tried to destroy your reputation when you stood up to me. I lied about you on social media. I got Sarah's family to spread rumors about your character. The admissions felt like removing poison from an infected wound. I became everything wrong with spoiled children who never grow up. David, her voice softened slightly. Do you remember when you were 9 after your father left us? You hugged me every night and told me I was the best mommy in the world. I remember. I wanted to give you everything because I loved you. But somewhere along the way, giving you everything became the reason you stopped loving me back. I never stopped loving you, Mom. I stopped showing it. I stopped being grateful. I stopped being a son and became a consumer. What do you want from me now? The question terrified him because he understood it wasn't just about immediate help. It was about what kind of relationship they could have going forward. I want to earn your respect. I want to become the son you deserve to have. I want to learn how to be an adult who contributes instead of just taking. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. But first, I need help surviving long enough to prove I can change. What kind of help? I need enough money to stay in the hotel for 1 more week while I find a job. Job. I need a chance to prove I can support myself. David, if I help you this time, there will be conditions. Anything. You'll find employment within 2 weeks. I don't care if it's cleaning offices or waiting tables. Pride is a luxury you can no longer afford. I understand. No financial requests for 6 months. You prove you can live on what you earn. Yes. We'll talk once a week, but our conversations will be between 2 adults, not between a parent and dependent child. I want that. I want to earn the right to be your son again. David, I'm going to transfer $800 to your account. That covers this hotel for 1 week and basic groceries. After that, you're on your own. Mom, thank you. I know I don't deserve. You're right. You don't deserve it, but everyone deserves 1 chance to grow up, even at 28. Her voice carried both sternness and hope. David, I've always loved you. Now I want to see if I can respect you too. I won't let you down. Not again. We'll see. Love you, sweetheart. The call ended, but for the first time in a week, he felt something other than despair. Not relief exactly, but possibility. The chance to become someone worth respecting. 20 days to prove he could change. A lifetime to earn back what he'd thrown away. He opened his laptop and started searching for jobs in the city. Every entry-level position looked intimidating to someone who'd never really worked, but intimidating was better than impossible. For the first time in his life, he was going to earn something himself. The education was finally beginning. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to Granny's Voice, and share your thoughts about this story in the comments. Thank you for watching.